-3, very warm air temperature with the sun now beginning to go down actually as we come up towards 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now let's have a look at the journey. Each of these athletes will go around twice. So look at the climb from the start, 500 meters along the track, nothing but climbing. First big descent, then another steep climb, extremely steep climb, 23% in terms of steepness. The third one before the long journey back down into the stadium area. So that's where you'll hand over and eventually finish the race for the final legged athlete. Onto the start grid, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Russia, United States, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Canada, Belarus, Czech Republic, Kazakhstan, and ranked 13th, France. And we've got one second team taking part, which is the second team from Russia. And they'll be bib 14 this afternoon. Østberg, Marit Bjørgen taking the second of the classic legs, then it's Haga taking the first of the freestyle legs with Heidi Weng anchoring the Norwegian team. Saarinen, Kilonen, Ruoponen and Mönönen. Very strong Finnish quartet there, and they'll be hoping to place themselves certainly on the podium. They would love a first, just to say they're here, and they're here for the races with the World Championships coming along later this year. We saw the strong American team, Caldwell, Brennan, Elizabeth Stephen and Kicken Randall. Good to see her back. And Canada, just there, ranked 9th from last season. Nishikawa, Brown, Daria Beatty and Sophie Carrier-Laforte. Well, there's your favourites further down, the French team. Not really the favourites today, I have to say, unless there's an inspired performance. I hope there is. Claudel, Boulet, Dolcy and Chamois. Well, Anna-Kaisa Saarinen, a mother now as well, so the life has changed in terms of how she approaches races and training, but still racing very well this season. The usual smile there from Østberg, not feeling the tension. She knows how this works, and certainly the favourite to be carrying a lot of that early pace. Emma Viken alongside her. She'll hand over to Stina Nielsen, the sprinter, but she can do distance. And then Nielsen will hand over to Rydqvist and Anna Givik from Falun Borlänge Ski Club, taking the anchor for Sweden.
Mesdames et messieurs, il est l'heure maintenant de vous river sur la piste, river vos yeux sur la piste, car nous sommes à
few moments to the start of this race, the women's 4x4 kilometers in La Clusaz. All the teams lined up, ready, under starters' orders for the gun to go at the start of this 4x4 kilometer relay competition. Norway at the front, ready to break free as soon as this gun fires. Well, they're being held quite some time on the start line. Emma Viken looking down the start straight. And they're off. Østberg, that was a huge amount of time they were held there, but all the way cleanly. 14 teams around this 2 kilometer track twice before they hand over to their teammates. In Norwegian's case, that's Marit Bjørgen, ready for action once again. Well, Mike Dixon, Patrick Winterton here with you, and well, Patrick, what do you think? How's the outcome here today? Where are we going with this?
Well, I don't think it's as understated as it was in the men's race, in that I cannot see the Norwegian quartet playing any sort of game. I think they'll want to get clear. Østberg, Bjørgen, that's a devastatingly powerful first 2 legs. No one can generally live with Østberg, but when Bjørgen comes in, if they're still together, I think we're going to see a change in pace there. And actually, I was so impressed with Marit Bjørgen yesterday, getting a second place. you know, she's not at her prime by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a phenomenal comeback from a year off.
It is, and the way she started as well up in Ruka, that was exceptional to win that first 10-kilometre classic. And I like the way she said earlier in her interview that she's planned these breaks. She didn't go to Davos to recharge, to make sure that she's not overdoing it. And that'll keep her sparky and fresh, I think, throughout the whole season.
But what do you think, how do you think the shorter distance will affect things, just the 4 kilometres?
The only thought I had there was that it's going to allow some teams to stay with, as you're expecting, the faster Norwegian pace early on. It might just allow some teams to hang on to the Norwegian skis, if you like.
Well, I don't know how long these tracks are going to last, but they had 50 centimetres of depth at the start of the weekend. It looks in some stages as though we're down to about 15. And that would be a shame for the locals, because it's always nice for them to come and experience the World Cup tracks, which are very, very different from the tourist tracks that you see anywhere around the world.
Just imagine, though, at the Christmas break, so many of the tourists who do come here to do the cross-country skiing, they're going to have to use these tracks, and they'll get a wonderful experience. I know Sheila Tucker, living near Manchester, she's coming out here next week for the Christmas break, so these tracks will be well used.
Well, I think it might put some people off cross-country skiing for life.
Deceptively steep hills, aren't they? You're looking down, it doesn't feel as if it's anything, but over the crest of this hill, and Usberg already just breaking the rest of the field.
Yeah, she's making everyone hurt. Russia are in there with Belarukova, who's had a very good start to the season. I've been impressed with her. Number 7, that's Italy, Elisa Brocard. And the tempo, when you're struggling, the tempo drops away dramatically, Mike.
That's right, especially the top, it's a cruel rise. That the very top part is the steepest part, just when you're at your most fatigued. But the limb speed, I think, is the frequency, is the important, efficient move to get over the top of these climbs.
Now, when you have a steep uphill section in the classic, talk through the body position that you like. I know in the old days they used to try and get you to get your hips back a little and the shoulders back to try and get the weight down through the ski. Do you still believe in that, or do you try and have the body leaning forward?
I think, and especially the advent of these longer ski poles, I know it's restricted this year, but that allowed you to stand much, much more upright and bring your hands closer towards your chin, or your shoulders, if you like, and that allows the hips to stay forward so that you get the weight pressing down. Instead of pressing back, it's pressing directly down through the waxing pocket. And I think that's the way it has been going over the last 8-10 years.
Yeah, you have to get the skis to work. Usberg switching to the herringbone, firstly to cut the corner, secondly to ensure she's still got some grip. And United States with Sophie Caldwell just struggling a little, didn't time her exit from the tracks particularly well.
Well, you can see as legs become more and more tired, there's a tendency to sit back, and that's when the slipping develops even more.
That was Shevchenko going for the long strides, the younger of the Shevchenkos, Anna Shevchenko, who I think shown quite a lot of promise, and is certainly going to be a good classic skier when she fully matures.
Well, look at the strength of Usberg, just coming up towards the 2 kilometre, the first time around the lap, and she's already destroyed the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's not a question of who wins, it's a question of by how much.
Quite amazing, isn't it? So the skis are working well, and it's a pity the rest of the world in cross-country skiing, in the women's field more so, can't quite match the strength of these 4 Norwegians. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it will evolve with Finland, maybe Saarinen, then Kiloinen, Ropinen and Munonen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any one ingredient to the secret of the Norwegians. I think perhaps the very first thing is that more Norwegian women get into cross-country skiing than in any other country, and therefore they have more choice. So the base of their pyramid is much, much broader, much wider than anyone else's.
It is, isn't it? And when, you know, encouraging all the school kids to get out there, they're having fun on skis, and they certainly have got the best and the biggest development platform in Norway per head of population. Well, have we got some brave athlete there copying Katarina Schmutna, in fact. A lot of double poling in the white suit, Bibi Levin from the Czech Republic. But no, of course, they've all got blister on the base of their skis. Usberg, her efforts yesterday to lead a lot of the pace, and I think that's what put her down to third position. And then to again fight so hard today to get the big advantage early on.
Well, I'm not quite sure what Kiloin was doing, stepping out of the track. I think that was just a misplaced step. 6 is Germany, Sandra Ringwald and Hennig Böhler-Fessel. It's a strong-looking quartet. I think the Germans, again, coming back to the numbers that you have to draw, and I think Germany need another 2 world-class skiers, and then we can consistently see them produce strong results.
Yes, without a doubt. I thought Sweden, well, Emma Vicken, Nielsen, of course, on the second leg really is the key player.
Now, what did Usberg? She looks fantastic at the moment. What did she do wrong yesterday not to win the women's mass start?
I can't believe she got it. I think she got it wrong in terms of her positioning. She wanted to take a lot of the lead with 1 lap to go. She took all of the pace early on, and Beng just hiding in behind her. Marit Bjørgen just tucking in behind her. And she set herself up, I think, to be passed in that final lap. In fact, it was on this part of the course before the descent to the finish line, but she's doing everything right today.
Yeah, really sharp, and she's looking comfortable at that pace as well. She's left the rest trailing, so already we'll focus on who's going to finish in second place as the second leg runners prepare. 5 kilometres normally, racing just 4 kilometres today. It's short and sharp and hugely entertaining. Yeah, you can see the contrast. Usberg came up here with absolutely no hesitation whatsoever.
And Usberg, and we'll see Marit Bjørgen doing the same. It'll be short, sharp strides, body attitude very much upright, looking up the hill, hips forward.
Yeah, we need that side-on shot, really, to see how it goes. United States, Sophie Caldwell struggling a little. Rosie Brennan's going to have to try and close the gap down on the leaders. The United States aiming for podiums in the women's relays now. They know they can do that if they all produce their best result on the same day. Claudel of France, not quite at the back, but not far off it. Well, look at that margin. What is it, 75 metres at least? And I think she's going to have a lead of probably something close to 25 seconds when she comes in for the exchange.
Look at the way she really pushes the feet forward, getting them so far up the hill so that her weight does press down in the middle of the skis to get the grip.
I think the Norwegians have gone with sticky. So often we see them, we see Saarinen getting a violation. Was that a yellow card or a red card?
That was the
yellow card, I think.
I thought it was yellow.
We'll get that confirmed in a moment. That should come up on our computer screen. Norway are renowned for going light on the wax, as in they go short with the waxing pocket and they go for a slightly harder wax than many. I think today they've decided with these 3 climbs on each lap, you need some decent grip.
And especially after watching Jondrud Sundby earlier on trying to double pull it. If anyone in the world could have double pulled this course, it was him, but it didn't work out. It wasn't a disaster, but it just didn't go to plan as he thought it might.
Well, here comes Usberg, and she's giving someone a decent lead who doesn't need it. Marit Bjørgen would probably appreciate a real race, and now she has to decide what the tactics are going to be. The clock starts, and we'll find out exactly how much of a lead. Close to 200 metres between Usberg of Norway and the nearest challenger. And away goes the former world #1, Marit Bjørgen, still the most successful female cross-country skier of all time.
Oh, just imagine her motivation. So she's gone away, she's had a long break, 600 days between her last race till she raced up in Ruka at the first World Cup. And now she's back and she's got all that same drive and enthusiasm. Quite amazing. And a 28-second lead for Norway after just 10 minutes. That's huge proportion.
36 seconds separating the top 5. As you can see, Germany just disappearing. That was Katharina Hennig on the second leg for Germany. Slightly surprised to see the Swedes dropping off. Emma Vicken, I thought she'd be able to stay with the second group, maybe not with Usberg. Stina Nielsen now trying to close it down. Rindkis and Divik are lined up for legs 3 and 4 for Sweden.
Sweden, a good chance there for, as you said, Stina Nielsen. She surely has to be looking to catch Team Germany 10 seconds ahead of her, and then another 4 seconds to Finland, another 2 seconds to Switzerland. Real potential for Sweden to move up the ranking, having dropped down the ranking at the handover.
So it's 3 years since the last relay here, and the team that won on that occasion are out front again. Welcome back to Clusaz, the women's 4x4 relay in action. We're on the second leg, almost the first kilometre completed. In fact, Norway with Marit Bjørgen have gone through that 1K stage, so she's just got another 3,000 metres to go. And Mike, I think we should have a little wager on the distance between Norway and the rest of the teams come the end of this relay. I'm going to go off the top of my head for 2 minutes 15, the biggest margin ever.
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, the lead now is going to be, what, 39 seconds. Marit was handed over to at 28. She really is powering ahead. Will they keep that kind of pressure on? Surely with Haga third leg, she's going to maintain a lead. They just want to secure the safety of winning. I think they may back off. Have to wait and see.
I'm banking on the fact that the rest of the teams have given up on the chase for first, and they're just going to play cat and mouse for second and third.
Which, yep, it's certainly happening already. That's a good start from, as we saw, for Switzerland, still well and truly in there.
Yeah, Natalie von Siebenthal looking really composed, and nice to see that she's not intimidated being surrounded by the Russians and Finns. This, of course, is Germany. Katharina Hennig on their leg. She comes from Oberwiesenthal, which is a beautiful area. Through the stadium for the first time. One more 2K leg to go, or lap to go for Marit Bjørgen. And well, I wonder how many wins she's going to get this year. There's no doubt she's already stated she's going to pick and choose. Her health is obviously vitally important. Her family now, #1 priority. But when she turns up, she still wants to win.
She really does. And what a turnaround in the cross country. In the setup, without Johaug here, it really has allowed Usberg and Beng to fly, to build their confidence, to know that they can win every race they take part in, and that's given them confidence. And I think Marit Bjørgen will have a huge fight in her hands to try and take many wins this year.
Well, the margin's already at 43 seconds, and we've only completed 6 kilometres so far, 16 in total. Well, one of the nice things about relays, Mike, is racing in the close company of others. I suspect that everyone is going to have a lonely race after the halfway stage. The Norwegians have split the field, and everyone's just going to settle into their own pace. And when you finish that sort of a challenge, you don't really feel you've been out there. And I think that's why people enjoy the Loppet races so much, because there's always someone 20 metres in front, 20 metres behind that you're fighting with.
Yeah, and it's exciting racing, isn't it? I'm surprised a little by the United States. They've got so much confidence at the moment. That's Brennan and on the second leg, 1:13 behind.
Yeah, I'm just starting to think maybe they've not got the skis quite right.
1:30 behind. Yes, we did see, of course, some struggling from Sophie Caldwell taking the start position. There's not a lot you can get wrong today in terms of the grip.
Well, as this is a display, we've got an opportunity just to talk cross-country skiing in general. Let's start with where you would go at Christmas if you had the choice.
Oh, that's a good question. You know, my heart would take me up to Norway, possibly Chichon. area, just north of Lillehammer area. That would probably be my favourite. That's where I started skiing, so I think I would want to return there for some good, and you got some lovely terrain, not too hard, not too difficult.
You're going to get precious little sunshine. You're going to have very little daylight. It's a short day.
It is well, that's the only downside in terms of Norway and Sweden this time of year, and Finland. So would you be attracted to the Alps?
I'm not sure. I think I'd go further afield. I think I quite fancy Vancouver, or, you know, up at Whistler. There's some nice skiing to be had there, great atmosphere, and when you're fed up with cross-country, just put the downhill planks on.
And what about Canmore, the beautiful Rockies, the backdrop there? Over in Canada, there's some beautiful locations.
And instead, we're both heading to Scotland.
Beautiful. Hey, there might be snow up there.
Well,
get the skis ready.
17:47 on the clock, and what's the margin going to be? It was 43 last time we saw. They're getting closer and closer to the minute marker.
What a good job from Stina Nielsen. I think we touched upon it. She was sixth. She had a few ahead of her. She's got them already. And I think the Swedish team, you know, without Kalla here, she's had that issue with her heart. She's taking time out at the moment. She will be back after Christmas, I understand, but they're just... the team is much weakened without Charlotte Kalla.
Did you hear a diagnosis for that?
It's just the irregular rhythms of the heart, which after Finland, Ruka, they just thought it's best that she rest up a little.
Yeah, and actually Andrew Young suffers from a similar sort of thing, and when it affects you, you can hardly walk up a flight of stairs, let alone race on cross-country skis. So she's doing well to rest up.
You know a little about that, don't you?
Too much. And of course, Marit Bjørgen, who had a heart scare, what, 2 seasons ago? Well, 3 seasons ago.
That's right, and they rested her for quite a long time and monitored her heartbeat.
Yeah, pulled her out of the Tour de Ski. Tour de Ski coming up.
Oh, that's going to be a cracker. Østberg, Bjørgen, Weng, and Stina Nielsen with her sprinting, the Americans, and good to see Kikin Rando back today from her time out. Now a mum, and the responsibilities.
That's France with Marianne Bouillet from Les Saisies. Well, just looking at the Norwegian team, when you see them lined up next to any other team, they just look stronger. I know it's not all about the muscles, but they do a phenomenal amount of work in the gym. Upper body-wise, they seem to me, and the core, Mike, they seem to be just you know, what, 5-6% stronger, and that makes all the difference.
It really does. The classic technique, I thought Marit Bjørgen did a fantastic job there. She was so technically perfect going up the steep climbs, and the tempo was as if it was 12 years ago when she was at her best in sprinting.
Well, Norway now relying on Ragnhild Haga. Heidi Weng, who is the World Cup leader, goes last for them. So surely everyone else has given up the chase and will be focusing on fighting for second place. What was it, 46 seconds last time we saw? We could be up around the 50-second mark as Sweden come in. As you said, Mike, Stina Nielsen's done well. It's a shame that Emma Viken just didn't have it.
Yes, to lose 40 seconds, 44 seconds on the first leg, but that's good damage limitation. Sweden just 52 seconds down now. And from 6th to 2nd.
Finland down in 3rd. They're one of the teams that have won here in Clusaz. We've had 5 relays here over the years. Norway have won 2 of them. Looks as though they're going to make it 3 out of 6. Germany and Russia winning the other ones. But Norway have won the last 7 Women's World Cup relays. And the last team to win, Italy in Rybinsk, when Norway tend to pull their top athletes out of that one. Hennig is a lonely ski. She hasn't been within 50 metres of anyone all the way round, and now she gets to hand over to Stephanie Bøhler. She's a member of the Ibach Ski Club. Do you know that?
I don't know that area. I'm just thinking the German team, though, with Victoria Karl, that bad fall she had yesterday, she was injured. She would certainly have been in the quartet today, and so they're slightly weakened. Karl has been performing well.
Belarus heading out in 9th position, as you can see, just ahead of the Italians, who are now relying on Sturz to try and close the gap down a little. They've got Debatolis on the last leg. She might be able to hold her own. But already 2 minutes 10. The Czech Republic 11, France 12, Canada 13. Welcome back to La Clusaz. Nothing's changed in terms of the leaders here. It's been a demonstration by the Norwegians how to dominate. And as we mentioned, the last time they didn't win a relay was in Rybinsk. But actually, they didn't compete, so they couldn't win. The last time they were beaten in a relay that they did compete in was 7 years ago. Sweden getting the better of them in Bajtostolen. That must have been the pre-Christmas, because that's where we race before Christmas, November 2009.
Oh, that's and it's unusual to get beaten. Of course, in between time at the majors, of course, there was that mess up in Sochi when it mattered most at the Olympics, when they were dethroned.
Well, let's have a technique lesson off you, Mike. I'm sure a lot of those watching are, you know, not only keen fans of cross-country skiing, but active cross-country skiers as well. Give us something to work on over the Christmas break.
Well, once we see Rutgers coming along this next flat, just try and point some pointers. But look at the lovely balance here, the transfer of weights from one ski to the other, and that there's that big angle between the ankle, the knee and the hip, and there needs to be to keep the hip point forward, almost a lean forward in the skating. Rudqvist is very economical with not throwing her right hand back when she's skating. Really, this technique for me, where the arms are used to counterbalance and bring energy into the skis there on the transfer back. I think that was good skiing from was it Russia 1?
But I think one of the things you have to take note of is how long you spend on one ski. 90% of the race, you're standing on one ski. Therefore, if you're not happy standing on one foot, you're going to have problems. So working on the balance, working on the strength of the ankle and your proprioception, so crucial.
I think it's the easiest training you could possibly do. It's effortless, burning a few calories, just standing on one leg and then sort of squatting down as far as you can on one leg.
You're going to get some strange looks, but it does work.
You could watch telly and do it, but it really does strengthen all the little receptors in your ankle, in your foot, and builds the balance.
Well, the margin's still less than a minute, so it has to be said, Maria Rydqvist of Sweden's doing a good job towing along the Finns as well. Finland with Ropinen on course now, then they've got Mononen, and actually Sweden will be a little concerned about Finland because Mononen's on good form, and I'm not sure that Anna Divik of Sweden is a match for her. She takes the final leg for Sweden, so favourite for me at the moment is to see Finland moving up into second place, and then we need to keep half an eye on the Russians with Anastasia Sedova.
I think so, but further back down, but a little bit out of it at 1:55 behind. Elizabeth Stephen is setting the second fastest lap time. She's only 3 seconds of Ragnhild Haga. So America coming back into it, I think, but that deficit was huge. She has a chance to move from 8th up to 6th by gaining some 12 seconds.
And one of the other things that's noticeable technically, Mike, is that these skiers generally ski just as well when they're near exhaustion as they do when they're fresh. I guess it's the same as swimmers. All those who've done something from childhood is you've got the small muscles are all conditioned to cope with extreme stress, and the technique doesn't generally fall apart.
And I think a lot of that is from great balance, as you say, starting young. It's an inbuilt balance. They've got movement on skis. So yes, fatigue muscles not playing such a big part of it.
Yeah, and if you look at someone like Andy Musgrave, okay, he started skiing as a youngster, but not perhaps as young as the Norwegians. I think he was in Alaska in his early years. I thought yesterday he looked tired, but I also thought that his technique had fallen apart a little, throwing the shoulder rather than getting the hip across. It looked inefficient.
There was a notable change, wasn't there, in his technique, but I put that down to exhaustion, and now that he was so tired after the Davos 30, after the intense programme, after the summer's training, I think he's looking forward to a good Christmas break now.
Heidi Weng fired up. not a lot to fight for. She's got over a minute's advantage. Is she going to put on a demonstration? Could well do.
I think you're right about them keeping the pressure on. I thought there'll be an opportunity for Heidi Weng surely to just bag her pace off. The margin is quite huge right now, nearly a minute in the lead. We saw further back, impressing me is Nadine Vandrich, the Swiss athlete. They're ranked 8th in the world. They're up in 4th position at the moment, so this is a strong and growing Swiss team.
Last few metres for Ragnhild Haga before she hands over to the current world #1. What was it? Almost 50 podiums before Heidi Weng got her first win. This year she can't stop winning. I know the absence of Johaug and the fact that Bjørgen's been on a break has made a big difference, but her time has come. And with those victories, there seems to be a certain confidence. I'm not sure that Bjørgen and Johaug are going to be able to live with this.
Look at the confidence here. Look at the attack. She's got a minute advantage. She's not taking any prisoners. She's gone out fast.
And one of the reasons Haga pushed hard is because she wants to be in the next relay. And if she'd gone on a cruise, the coaches would not have looked kindly on that.
Not at all. And she can compare, the coaches can compare her time now. And probably, most likely, she'll get another run out. Rudqvist really has timed this break well, trying desperately to get an advantage onto the anchor leg. That's a good effort. She's pulled a lot of time back. She's pulled 10 seconds back on this last lap. Mooninen now has well, she sees it all ahead of her, the work in which she has to do to pull back from 3rd to 2nd.
Well, that's a good challenge. I'm not sure she's going to struggle too much. I've been impressed with Mononen so far this year. Russia might have a tougher job to get up into 2nd place. They've put Anastasia Sadova on that final leg. And Switzerland, they're doing really well. Good performance from them so far. And Switzerland now with Sarina Boner, Van der Graaf, von Siebenthal and Feindrich taking legs 1, 2 and 3. And now Sarina Boner, who comes from Clusaz, better known for its alpine skiers and smart restaurants than cross-country skiers.
That would be a nice place to go, wouldn't it, for your Christmas break? Good tracks, cross-country wise.
But part of the problem is to get snow in the Alps, you've got to go high, and altitude and cross-country skiing is not easy.
It is not. Here's Elizabeth Stephen, I think it is, coming through for the Americans. That's been a good leg, good performance.
Keegan Randall, good to see her back on the tour. I think maybe we'll assess her performances after Christmas to see what sort of potential she's got for the World Championships taking place in Lahti this year in Finland. Well, if you've got a week off at the end of Feb, that's certainly worth a visit. Clusaz hosting a World Cup for the 6th time, and despite the lack of snow, they've put on a great show here. Track's a little bit narrow. I think the racers would have enjoyed another metre or 2 on some of the uphill climbs, but the women's relay, totally in contrast to the men's. It's been dominated by one team and one team alone, a team that haven't been beaten for 7 years. The Norwegians storming ahead. They got close to 58 seconds. The lead may be cut, but I suspect Heidi Weng will be able to take that margin to over a minute. But there is a good battle going on between Finland and Sweden behind.
Team Canada having a little chat after the work done. The 3rd leg.
Mononen living up to expectations, and she has gone ahead of Anna Divik, but she's not shaken her off completely, only 10 metres behind, so she's going to have to keep the pressure on this 2nd loop. Let's have a look at the margins. Heidi Weng's cruising, Mike. She knows she's not going to be dropped, whatever happens.
Without a doubt. Hey, further back down the track, I must say, Keegan Randall's return to the relay team, return to World Cup racing. She's only lost 3 seconds at the first marker, and we'll see her coming through in about 55 seconds time through here.
But that's Weng going at 85%.
I wonder. Well, I'll get some readings off Finland. She's certainly, Keegan Randall running faster than than Mooninen. So yes, it's still good timing, I think, out there for America, for Keegan Randall.
Russia were a minute 9 behind, now 1:16. Switzerland were trailing by 1:10, now 1:22. So Heidi Weng's not going that slow. Maybe it's just the battle between the Finns and the Swedes for supremacy. They, of course, share a border. And actually, some Swedes speak Finnish. Lots of Finnish up that northwestern section speak Swedish.
And I think there's only, I was recently up in Finland, I think there's only 6% of Finns speak Swedish. But I think, yes, you're right, there are more Swedes who speak Finnish. Well, here's Keegan Randall. Now, she just lost a couple more seconds. It's pretty good racing. She won't have her entire spark back. It takes a few races. Well, she's lost 13 seconds actually now in that first rotation. Started strong.
Well, I think we'll see Randall in very different shape later on. Here comes Heidi Weng.
Now she's picked up the pace.
Using the shape of the track there, you see how it drops away at the left-hand side, making sure she gets the left ski on that downhill section. Have we got a few tears here? Possibly. Germany have dropped down to 6th position. And Stephanie Böhler, I think, maybe not 100% happy with the way things have gone. Katarina Hennig in there as well. Monen having to work from the outset, having been given a 5-second deficit on the Swedes, and all credit to Divik for hanging on in there, Mike, but I don't think there's going to be a comeback here, because Monen is opening up the gap as she comes towards the top of the steepest climb here at the Clusaz course.
Just 1 kilometre to go. That's just simply too much. Those 10 seconds are too much of a gap, I think. And body language would maybe back that up, that Divik is struggling with this pace. What about Russia? Sedova. Well, they started well. First couple of legs in the race.
And just compare, trying to remember how Heidi Weng, how steady the body was coming up here. You can see the hips going from side to side, the shoulders rolling as well. Just the efficiency of Heidi Weng's technique is giving her a massive advantage. Switzerland with Sarina Bona, and a little battle developing with the Germans. Coming up for Germany is Nicole Fessel, who, when she's on form, might fancy her chances of taking this one, and I think she's closed the gap down significantly.
Well, I think she's going to take this one. It was, yes.
It was 26 seconds.
Yeah, so I think she's going to close that gap.
It's down to about 6, but she's only got a kilometre to do the rest. And, of course, 550, almost 600 metres of that kilometre is downhill.
Nothing much you can do in that downhill section. It's such a long section into the finish line. Here comes Norway.
So they get their 3rd win here in Clusaz, and their winning record goes on and on and on. Now, the one the one race they did lose, of course, 2014.
That's the biggest surprise, I think, in my cross-country 30-odd years, to see they were the nailed-on favourites for the Olympic relay. They'd done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and what a final leg from Charlotte Kalla, though, who just put in the performance of her life for the team. She's put in some fine performances for herself, but that one was a little bit special to give Sweden the gold medal. And Norway, since then, have vowed never to lose to Sweden again.
Interesting.
Well, they've made it look easy today. Photo finish or photo call for the Norwegians already, as Finland claim 2nd spot. They keep it to under a minute, so I was way out on my prediction. 50 seconds the margin. Monen, a good strong leg. I really think we could see some consistent podium finishes from her.
And this is good with the World Championships going to Finland in February. That's a nice bonus confidence builder for them.
The Swedish quartet finishing third. Viken started it. Nielsen looked good on the second leg. Maria Rydqvist on leg number 3. And of course, Divik has just finished for them. Here come Russia. Belarukova, who's a promising star. We've got Kalsina, Shikalova, and then Sadova crossing the line. 1:29 behind. And they do a kilometre in around, what, 2:15, 2:20. So that gives you some idea of the distance that Russia were behind at the finish. And Germany, who were hoping for a podium, it's not happened for them today. Started to go wrong on leg number 2. Hennig just not able to stay with it. Buller and Fessel looking pretty good on legs 3 and 4. Well, it's been a busy day of winter sport. Lots of alpine skiing going on as well. United States of America, who've stayed in 7th throughout that final leg, despite the efforts of Keegan Randall. I think we'll see better, but actually, Mike, I think the Americans will be happy with the way the season's gone. Jessie Diggins, of course, getting that win in Lillehammer. That was a little bit of history for them. And then in Davos, Jessie Diggins getting the best 15-kilometre result ever for an American woman. So they're still going up the ladder.
They definitely are, and ranked 5th, and today, well, finishing there, we saw 6th, 7th place, but without Diggins taking part, so a slightly weakened team. And yes, I think they're good. The sprints, the Tour de Ski, the Americans will be feeling very, very confident.
14 teams entered in the women's race. We had 15. Numbers slightly down now. They've limited teams to 2 entries. In the past, we've seen Norway 1, 2, 3. Have we ever had Norway 4? I think we have.
I think we have.
And they're still competitive.
So yes, restricted. That's the new rule changes, restricting it to only 1 extra team per nation if required.
And then the women's, only Russia going for 2 teams. And here come Russia 2 in a sprint finish with Kazakhstan. Bikova of Kazakhstan. The margin 3:43, so a kilometre and a half behind the race winners, Norway. Well, not quite as much drama as we saw in the men's race, which was actually a cracking race, Mike, with all sorts of developments. Norway confident of their knowledge of the track for winning the sprint finish with Russia. But, you know, some good tactics going on. The Germans weren't far off the mark. The Finns were there until the last couple of kilometres.
Yeah, incredible how different it is in the men's field and the women's field, because the men's race was absolutely all on. 4 teams at the sharp end with only 1 kilometre to go, with Germany in the mix, Russia, Norway, and of course Sweden.
And even the best men find it hard to shake off a pack. I think Martin Jonsrud Sundby, as you alluded to, is the one man who can actually break a field. Everyone else, the advantage of the slipstream behind gives them enough to be able to hang on in there. That doesn't seem to be the case in the women's. Is that because the spread of talent is much greater, or is it because the women go slower and the slipstream effect is less?
Well, there's an interesting part. I think it's just the development of the strength in most of these nations who are not pushing Norway isn't as great as it is in Norway. Norway's got this, as we mentioned earlier, this wonderful foundation
relay
in club racing.
Ingvild, you opened it up right away. I understand that all of the younger girls on the team, it was a rush to get home for boyfriends, and Marit, you wanted to get home and see your baby.
Yeah, I had to race fast so Marit could get home fast to Marius. She's been missing Marius all week, so I had to go strong from the start. So it was a really good leg for me, and it was fun to do the relay and see the team win. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and Marit, you've been on many relay teams now. You're a little older in the team. Is it fun to see the new girls and be on the team with them?
Yeah, of course, and it's still fun for me to be together with the young girl. I'm 10 years older, so so it's nice that I can still be here. So and Ingvild did a very good race, and had a big gap behind me, so I could do my one race, and the other girls is in good shape also. So it was a very good relay for us, and I think everyone is looking forward to go home for Christmas.
Yeah, Ragnhild, you had a big gap. How hard do you push when you have a gap like that? You still want to get the effort in, right? It's kind of training at that point a bit.
Yeah, I went hard, but I also tried to be a little bit careful on the downhills, and yeah, it's really good to be part of such a strong team today.
And Heidi, you get to go last as of yesterday's result, and you got to clap hands with the spectators coming down the finish. That was nice.
Yeah, that was so cool. Everyone just take the hand out and yelling. So yeah, that was cool, and cool to go the last lap when the other girls do very good. Good job. So yeah, that was nice.
All right, well, congratulations, ladies, and safe travels back to the north.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Another day of success for the Norwegians. They win the women's relay and they win the men's. Not quite as easily, but it was a very, very good race. If you haven't seen that, do catch up with that later on. From Mike and myself, thanks for your company, and we will see you after Christmas, New Year's Eve, for the start of the Tour de Ski.